Hey, welcome to part 2 of my Airway sanitizer Model 88 repair. On Performance Reviews, I give you the review and technical tutorial from the technician's point of view. Make sure you hit that bell button, that helps out the channel a whole lot.
Alright, I've gone through and cleaned up the motor, lubricated everything. And it don't look clean, but that's the state of it. That's as good as it's gonna get, unfortunately. But those bearings move a lot more free now. Yeah, and I wiped down what I could of WD-40, trying to prevent some rust. So that's really as good as that's gonna be. Like I said, I'm not super happy about that, but you know, sometimes that's all you can do. Now this are really kind of interesting how all this goes together. So let's start putting that together as well. I washed this out. I really couldn't get a lot of the corrosion out there. I was kind of disappointed in that. And some of the stuff still kind of has an odor to it. So yeah, this might not be the best rebuild that I've done. If I could get some new gaskets, I probably would, as these ones are, so I spray them with Pledge. Definitely been seen better days, but I believe them that they're still going to make a great seal. Yeah, it kind of just all sits in there. And the way they did this not only allows it to make a good seal, but it really reduces vibration and sound. So it's very ingenious the way this whole thing was done. And the motor actually has no screws holding them into the motor. Everything is done with this retaining plate. Let's make sure it's up. That retaining plate, just like that. And there are spaces like there could have been at one time, like they would have done that maybe on a different model. But yeah, that's what holds the motor in. And no complaints there. So that goes in. And then this just kind of goes on top of it. And there are arrows to guide me from some previous technician who did this. So that's kind of what lined up with that. Yeah. See, line the arrows up exactly. I don't know what difference that would make, but everything looks really symmetrical, but they're here. So I'm going to do it just to... What's interesting also is that this retainer plate is just lacquered steel, and the other stuff is aluminum. Alright, so that, just like doing anything else like this, I'm going to do a torque pattern here. And we'll put that in by hand. Yeah, everything seems to line up. Not... Yeah, those all... Yeah, some of those need to be tightened. And again, I'm not exactly sure. It really just is super overbuilt. Those are all started by hand. I want to put a decent amount of torque on them, and I'm going to use my drill for that. Everything seems good and torqued. Oh, you know it's not good and torqued? We're gonna put some Loctite on this. Yeah, these were loose. Yeah, that gets Loctite, and they're nice and good. Make sure that's now we grab the excess out of there. The Q-tip. Don't really want that dripping all over the place. The other ones are seized in there the way you would think they would be with steel and aluminum. Alright, so that's been done. That's feeling nice and solid. Let's talk about putting the switch in now. Some of the other hardware. Yeah, we had some strangeness holding this together. Where did the switch go? Man, I really need to clean this off. I was gonna polish this switch and I didn't. Let's see what it looks like after we wipe it down with Windex. It might not need polish. This might just be dirty from years of just nobody touching it, detailing it. This chrome really should be good to go. Yeah, it sure is pretty good to go. I think the appropriate solution actually is just going to be a toothbrush. And some Windex. Yeah, that's the shiniest that needs to be for a switch. And that just goes in there, and then there's just one little like screw and bolt that holds that in place. That needs some WD-40 on it though first. My goal is just to remove or neutralize any surface rust with this. You really just don't know. Alright, that just goes in there. Yeah. Looks good to me. I guess our next step is going to be to put the cable back in there. Man, that's dirty too. And having the original cable for this is cool. It's also a little unnerving safety-wise, but it all seems pretty good. Again, it's really a shame that this is all off like that. We'll put this on with some wire nuts, and then we'll electrical tape the wire nuts afterwards so they don't come loose like the wire nuts that were already in here when I took it apart. And all the wiring on here is super simple. There's really nothing to mess up. All right, don't freak out. What I am doing is this is a charcoal infused filter material. I'm going to add this in there because I have everything with WD-40 has been sprayed down and stuff. And the problem with doing that is it does leave kind of some off-gassing from that WD-40, you know, fighting that rust. So rather than, you know, exposing myself to a whole bunch of that happening, hopefully. I'm putting just a little bit of this in the exhaust, which will help absorb some of that. And it's kind of out of the way of everything else as well. So I'm fine with that, but just keep in mind that's why I'm doing that, in case anybody's wondering, or, you know, particularly feeling horrible that I'm somehow ruining a machine or something. I'm making it a little bit more usable. And it was dirty. It's hard to believe that I washed this damn thing looking like that. Let's just make sure everything works. Awesome. So now let's put something like this in there. Then this is supposed to go on top of that. Hold that in place. All right. Let's grab the other pieces. Let's put that on. Alright, so I just had to kind of wiggle it around until it fit. And now we can put the lid on it, which looks like it goes this way. So there's like a little mark here that lines up with this thing. If I had to guess. Okay, so that's in there. That's in there. Front of that's in there. Yeah, I see why this was like this. Alright, now I now understand how all this happened here. Is somebody took a screwdriver and tried to wedge it in there with that at some point while repairing this machine. And the answer to doing this is very frustrating. But what I ended up doing was taking a screwdriver, but rather than wedging on the edge, I just lightly pushed on the inside of this to correct its shape to where it should be, and it went in. Now, I did struggle with this a little bit, so I turned the camera off. I figured y'all didn't want to watch me for, 10 minutes of me cursing here. It's not very advertiser-friendly when we do that. So, now using wood, I'm going to support this and put this guy back in where it should go on here. And you want to make sure when you're doing something like this that it's well supported, because this is some sort of cast aluminum, or it will do funny things on you. I really don't want to break something, so put this back in. Unsupport it for a second. Find the hole. All right, so now I've got the hole. Now I'm going to support it. I'm going to give it just a little bit of a tap there. And then once it's flush, I'll give it just a little bit more of a tap, which will settle the burr that's in there. And that's settled. It's back together. With TriStars, you had to do that. And numerous ones of these older vacuums, you would take things like that on and off that were pressed in. They don't do that really anymore on machines, thankfully. But still, either way, it's kind of an old way of doing it. Now, I also got my grubby hands, which were full of rouge and stuff all over this, so that needs to be wiped down again. Okay, it's not the most graceful thing in the world, but I've hot glued a pneumatic bag to this. And the pneumatic bag also has its own gasket, so that means this is actually going to seal better, and I don't need to seal this up. I know some people will cut like Oric or Simplicity bags off for this, but I have pneumatic bags laying around. Oh, that's sealed up. You can actually still buy paper bags for this, but I don't want to run paper. I would prefer the filtration. So it is not the best looking one I've done. There's no getting about that with the condition of the paint on here. It's definitely a candidate for a actual paint job, but I really don't want to do that. I'd rather just leave it original. All right, I think a good way to end this repair is just to end it with me cleaning up on my bench. Thanks for watching, folks. Hit that thumbs up button if you learned something today. Check us out on Patreon, and like I said, there are links below that support the channel. Have yourself a great day.